A study out of Israel found that people who score high in victimhood thinking are significantly more likely to manipulate others. Not less. More. That stops most people cold when they first hear it. Because everything you were taught says victims are powerless. Victims need help. Victims are the ones being controlled. But what if the performance of suffering is itself the control? What if the most powerful person in the room is the one crying in the corner? There is a specific psychological architecture behind this, and once you see it, you will never unsee it. The question is, have you already been living inside someone else's performance without knowing it? Welcome to the Mind Shadow. This channel exists for one reason: to give you the understanding that most people are never handed. Dark psychology is not a weapon. It is a map. And the map we are reading today is one of the oldest plays in human social behavior: weaponized victimhood. This is not about dismissing real suffering. Real pain is real. But there is a predatory mutation of victimhood that operates like a precision instrument. It rewires relationships. It transfers power invisibly. It makes the person causing harm look like the one receiving it. By the end of this, you will know exactly how it works, why it works on nearly everyone, and what to do when you encounter it. Stay with me. Let's start with the architecture. Psychologists call it interpersonal victimhood. It is a stable personality trait, not a momentary feeling. People who embody it share four consistent features: a constant sense of personal victimization, moral elitism, a lack of empathy for others' suffering, and a deep need for recognition of that victimhood. Notice the contradiction already. They feel victimized constantly, but they struggle to feel empathy for others. That asymmetry is the tell. Real trauma produces sensitivity to others' pain. This pattern does the opposite. Now look at how it operates in real relationships. Consider a workplace scenario. A manager, call him Richard, is consistently late on deliverables. When his team raises concerns, Richard pivots immediately. He describes his impossible workload, his unsupportive childhood, the colleagues who never appreciated him. Within minutes, the team is consoling the man who failed them. Nobody raises the original problem again. Richard never changed his behavior. But Richard walked away protected. That is not an accident. That is a system. The shift from accountability to sympathy was executed with surgical precision. And Richard may not have even planned it consciously, which we will come back to later. The power generated here is structural. When you are the victim, you are exempt from judgment. When you are the victim, criticism becomes cruelty. When you are the victim, loyalty is owed to you, not earned. Now let's go deeper into the neuroscience of why this works on you. Your brain has a system called the empathy network. It includes the anterior insular and the anterior cingulate cortex. When you witness someone in pain, these regions activate. You literally feel a diminished version of their suffering. This is not weakness. This is evolution. It is the biological foundation of social bonding and cooperation. But it is also a vulnerability, because the empathy network does not have a verification system. It cannot distinguish genuine suffering from performed suffering. The signal looks the same. Your body responds the same. And while that response is firing, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for critical evaluation, is partially suppressed. You stop analyzing. You start soothing. This is the window the weaponized victim exploits. They have learned, consciously or not, that visible distress generates care, deference, and forgiveness. It bypasses your rational assessment completely. Researcher Jennifer Freyd identified something she called DAVO: deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It is a documented response pattern used by people who cause harm. When confronted, they deny, they attack. Then they claim they are the ones being victimized by the confrontation itself. The emotional escalation that follows, the tears, the outrage, the wounded silence, overwhelms the person who raised the concern in the first place. You end up apologizing. They end up absolved. Your empathy became the mechanism of your own defeat. Now let's get precise, because knowing the theory means nothing if you cannot see it moving in real time. There are specific patterns to recognize. The first is perpetual injury. Every conversation returns to past wounds. Old grievances resurface the moment accountability appears. The function is to make you feel that pressing any issue risks harming someone already fragile. You learn to hold back. Silence becomes the price of peace. The second pattern is competitive suffering. When you express a struggle, theirs is immediately larger. Your pain becomes a trigger for their pain. Over time, you stop bringing your problems to them at all. They have trained you, through emotional conditioning, to manage yourself so you can manage them. The third is moral immunity. Because they have suffered so much, they are exempt from ordinary standards. Being late, being dishonest, being absent, all of it gets reframed as the inevitable fallout of their victimization. To hold them accountable feels monstrous. You are attacking a wounded person. Now, how do you respond to this without becoming cold or dismissive? Because the wrong move here is to weaponize your understanding. The right move is strategic boundary setting. You acknowledge the emotion. You do not engage the narrative. You return calmly, directly, to the specific behavior in question. Not their history, not their pain, the behavior. This disarms the mechanism without denying their humanity. It requires discipline, because the pull to soothe will be strong. That pull is biological. Remember, you must override it with something stronger: clarity. Here is the part that changes everything. Remember the open loop from the beginning. The question of whether Richard planned any of this. The answer, in many cases, is no. And that is the darkest part of this entire conversation. Research into victimhood psychology reveals something deeply unsettling. Many people who weaponize victimhood genuinely experience themselves as victims. The self-perception is authentic. They are not sitting in a room calculating their manipulation. They have built a cognitive framework so layered in genuine pain, childhood conditioning, and identity formation that the victim role feels like truth. This matters for two reasons. First, it means the behavior is extraordinarily resistant to confrontation. You cannot shame someone out of an identity they have lived inside for decades. Logic will not touch it. Direct accusation will only deepen it. They will point to your accusation as the latest evidence of their victimization. Second, and this is the real revelation, it means victimhood can be a prison as much as a weapon. The person trapped in this pattern often cannot build real relationships, cannot accept real accountability, cannot grow. The power they gain is real, but the cost is everything else. So you are not dealing with a monster. You are dealing with a wound that learned to fight. That does not make it safe to be near, but it changes how you see it, and how you see it changes everything. You now carry something most people never get: the ability to see this pattern clearly, without flinching, without cruelty. That is the only position from which you can protect yourself and still retain your integrity. Use this knowledge carefully. The goal is not to become suspicious of everyone around you. The goal is to stop surrendering your judgment every time someone performs pain in your direction. If this opens something in your thinking, the like button costs you nothing. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing what most people are trained not to look at. Every week we go deeper. Every week we pull something hidden into the light. Until next time, I'll see you in the shadows.